Hey everyone, believe it or not, this is last of the videos that are coming up here leading up to vacation. If you look at the date stamp there at the bottom, this is from middle of October. So I have been a little behind, but I'm just trying to get caught up. Anyway, so the wings are done. It's time to clean up a little bit and get that bench moved back. And this is just kind of the stuff's been on the floor, it's been tucked up against the wall. So because that whole unit rolls and I'm moving that up against the wall. Just got to get it all cleaned out so it sets up there nicely. And I was initially going to take that bench top off, but I moved the miter saw around so I can use that, just maintain the bench for the meantime. And it worked out pretty well. So just more or less a cleaning day. The advantage of moving the bench against the wall is I get the full diagonal use of the garage, which I'm going to need when I get to the engine aspect of things. And it just sits neatly in there. I couldn't have it any longer. But again, just kind of cleaning up and getting prepped for the next phase of things. So yeah, it. But it'll be great to have the next phase of things done. I also had to tear down all of the shipping tubes that I'd been sort of storing. So there's a lot of sawing and whatnot to get that done, and getting things moved around. I've taken all of the bags off the wall that's behind the bench, and they're all just to the left at this point in time. So I'm getting low on just regular parts. But this will be the last video that I'd made right before going on vacation.
Some time later.
Okay, so if you see the date, we've gone from October 15th to November 25th, and it's just, the, the week before, the week after vacation, the week of vacation, and then just some having a general cold in there. The one thing that was interesting was the inside of the canopy wasn't finished. It was literally the raw or rough composite material from Sling. And I am not going to be painting anything on this plane. It's going to be somebody else. So I had to search around to find a shop that would actually do the interior portion of this. My first thought was to use a body shop in town, but they wouldn't touch it. I actually found a hot rod shop of all places, and they did a really good job. Took over some of the swatches of the interior, and we just went a little bit lighter than the darker black kind of color, so it's more of a light gray inside, but did a real nice job finishing it up. And if you recall from the previous video, I had taken the side skin off the back there, and of course I changed my mind on a cable run, which meant okay, then it's all got to come off. So unfortunately, I'd put a couple of rivets in around the COM1 antenna, and had to pop those out. And it's not a big deal at this point in time. You just take the drill bit and pop the. This is one of the advantages of the pulled rivets. If you're ever questioning between building something with pulled rivets and buck rivets, a buck rivet, granted you get good at both, but the pulled rivets are another minute or two to put back in versus the effort to go through on the buck rivet. So big proponent for the pulled rivets there. The other part that I had to do is the rear tray I had to take out for the rear tray part of the that receives the cables for the parachute, because there was no way that was going to go in there when that tray was in place. So this part made me very nervous because I want to get this right, and it's just a matter of fiddling back and forth and kind of eyeballing it. There's no real this is completely in place. The instructional video that Evan put together from Sling it discusses moving some of the material along the horizontal portion of the canopy, but I had no problems with that area. Where I ran into problems was in the rear portion of it, and what it was doing is it was hitting that forwardmost rib that was in the rear portion of the fuselage. So it was a little bit of, take some material off, slide it into place, kind of eyeball it, make sure it's really, about where I want it to be. And the seam is actually, I'm pretty happy with it. Enough so that I actually started, putting put all the holes in. So, the one thing that was interesting, and I noticed this on another builder's platform, is and unless you're building, it won't mean too much, but there's the 142 rivets, and then there's the 153 rivets or 152 rivets. They're different sizes. The copper clecos are the 142, and then the black rivets are the 152 or 153. And they're doing the canopy almost exactly the same time, and they've got copper rivets going all the way up and around, but the holes in the rear, the holes that are being drilled are to match the rear fuselage. And the holes, as you move around the top section of the fuselage, very clearly are larger in size than the 142 hole. I forget what the millimeter is for the rivet size itself. So you go up about halfway, and about where I'm drilling, it stops, and it's in the copper, and then it switches over to the larger hole size. So I didn't expand the hole for the skin on the rear fuselage, but it was interesting when I looked at the other plane. So I don't know. I mean, that's how my skin is. There's really no harm. You see where the black clecos are in there. There's no harm or foul for using the larger rivets, but I just thought it was interesting that, that's the way it came. Again, I'm using the Behringer wheels, and the Behringer wheels came with stainless steel fuel lines, so I started working on getting those run. My life is going to be spent bent over working on cabling and whatnot inside the plane now that I'm this far along. But this is just the process of getting the clecos all installed, and that is all in place. I'm waiting on some Sikaflex to be delivered. In fact, I might get it here this afternoon when I'm recording this. And now that that is all done and in place, it's a matter of working on some of the more firewall forward piece. Oh, also, I put some casters below the wheels of the airplane so that I can move the airplane inside the garage during the winter laterally. It gives me a little bit more flexibility with the plane. The heater's sitting there on the bench. Through moving around all of the parts, I managed to bury something, all the material to mount the heater behind the screen door, which then hid the parts. So it took me a couple of days to find those. So yeah, that's where we're at right now. Hopefully in the next several videos, and I'll try to be more up to date with them. You'll start seeing the canopy finish go on, and the avionics in the engine. So I'll have some time over the month of December here to really dig into this. Anyway, ask any questions or let me know if you have any comments. Thanks.